every single day, but
Pretty interesting.
I always love to just get in the car and drive, so.
Oh, that's how golf got. In the real younger years of how golf got.
You need your picture, Garrett.
I was thinking I might just have Amy's picture on there, if that's all right.
No.
I was looking for your grandmother, your great grandmother, I should say.
Great grandmother was the mayor too.
She, principal, Helen's usually. Council, let's make sure our mics are on. And we will start right at the top of the hour, which is less than 2 minutes away.
It was Jen and then.
I was
Right,
handing
yeah.
movies, I'm not supposed to.
Oh, no, just for your reference.
I think, no, Helen was the lady mayor of City of Gibraltar. That's some history I gotta look into now.
Nice door.
Please turn your phones off. You don't wanna hear any ducks or anything during the. How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Heat working here?
They just mentioned that.
Are you chilly?
We're on a budget.
There's no energy committee.
We're on a budget here. There's gonna be no heat in here.
Space heaters.
Usually only do that to the auditors.
We do that to them too.
All right, clock hit the top of the hour. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening to everybody here in person and to those that are tuning in virtually. I want to thank everybody for accommodating the special meeting of council this evening. As you can see in the agenda in front of you, I'd like to start with roll call. So Katie, if you can please call roll.
Schumate,
Here.
Cox,
Here.
Passmore, McNabb,
Here.
Molnar,
Here.
Valentine, Wood.
Here.
Council will need a motion to excuse the absent council members Cosmore and Valentine.
Excuse?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Katie, can you please call roll?
Cox,
Yes.
Passmore, McNabb,
Yes.
Molnar,
Yes.
Schumate,
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Fantastic. Today we'd like to open up, as we do with our special meetings, with a public comment. We'll have a public comment now, and then we'll open up again for public comment before adjournment. Is there any members of the public that would like to address us this evening? Okay, great. That will close the public comment session, and we'd like to move on to the agenda item of focus for tonight's special meeting, which is our city administrator hiring process. I'd like to say a few words up front, and then we'll dive into our game plan for today. Number one, I would like to sincerely thank Councilman Molnar, Councilwoman Wood, for being here today in the office, for helping us cover the essential needs of the operation, attending meetings, and going over the high priority item list. And to all of our council who put their hands up to be a part of that process so that we can make sure our operation maintains continuity. That's number one. Number two is I want to have a special thanks to Councilman McNabb and Councilwoman Wood for their partnership on the interim manager committee. For everybody's perspective, I know council has seen this in their packets and in our exchanges, but in our last council meeting, We had motion for that interim manager committee to be convened. The three of us took a look at all 17 interim managers listed on the MME website. So we started there, and we decided that we do an independent review. So each of us independently reviewed the resumes and the captured information on the MME website and made a recommendation on pursue or not pursue as a candidate. Out of those 17, we were able to shortlist 7 for which we were unanimously aligned on our support of their candidacy. All 7 of those were immediately reached out to with an invitation last week, starting on Wednesday. Invitation to join us for this evening's special meeting. They were given the background, which is our city administrator's last day was last Friday. Here we are, the first day without our city administrator in place, and then we're having our special meeting tonight to have an interview of interested candidates. Out of the 7, we had 3 candidates that accepted this evening's special meeting interview request. I won't name the 2 that are not in present today, other than to say one of them called this afternoon with a family emergency, and the other one has an active role in another city for which they had a unexpected conflict that arose for tonight, and felt that their active support of another city would probably prohibit them from being successful as an interim manager for us in the city of Gibraltar. So simply put, that leaves us with 1 candidate this evening, and I want to sincerely thank Sue for being here. In addition to those 7, 3 of which accepted tonight, 2 of which cannot be here, Councilman Molnar reached out to another recommendation we received, which had been number 8, and they were unavailable to be here this evening. I don't know if you want to add any color to that.
Really, they were a referral from one of the other people that we spoke with, and they said that because they are north of Port Huron, the travel was a bit far for them, and they would give us some assistance in our search, but we're not ultimately interested enough to make the trip.
Thank you so much. So if you think about it, we had 8 contacts made, 7 of which were the unanimous support, 3 of which accepted, 2 of which cannot be here today. And the other ones declined due to a variety of reasons, whether it was geography or existing commitments and unavailability to serve Gibraltar. So I'm excited because we do have Sue here this evening. Council, in addition to Sue's information included in your packet, we also have the existing duties of our Office of the Administrator captured in your packet. I also spoke with Amy last week, which is a topic we can explore as appropriate, but we talked about the compensation considerations for us in the city of Gibraltar. Obviously, with Michael no longer being employed, or I would say us processing out the remainder of the employment or the time that he had, I educated you on our kind of upper threshold for compensation. So I just wanted you to have that in the back of your mind as we think about tonight's discussion and any decision that council would so choose to make. So my hope was Katie had kindly prepared us today. We had circulated our interview questions, and Katie has now printed them out in front of you with some sections for which you can take notes. The one call out I wanted to make was, in addition to the core questions that we were all aligned on, there were a council member as well as a department head that had some additional suggestions. Rather than try and put those words directly in their mouths, I'm going to let them speak to their questions, so I just didn't want you to be blindsided. You'll see where your notes highlight your opportunity to ask your questions in questions 9 and 10 respectively. So that's our process for today. Council, any questions or other considerations before we invite Sue up to the podium? So Sue, what we'd like to do is, I thought it'd just be appropriate to, we're gonna just go right around the chambers tonight. Amy, if it's okay with you, I'll just start with you just to verbalize the first question, and we'll just go then to Councilman McNabb, Molnar, myself, and just go around the room to ask those questions. And then we're gonna go ahead and be taking notes, Sue, as we go through the discussion. And there will be a time for you to ask any questions or clarifying information that you require as well.
Okay, yep.
Sue, anything that you'd like to state before we ask our opening question?
Your community is absolutely gorgeous, surprising. I drove around, I got here early enough to be able to do that. And I've never been in a community that, as I was sharing earlier, has so much waterfront frontage for the homes that are there. It's just amazing and beautiful, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I don't know if any of the questions that you're going to ask are about my background, but I'll briefly go over that. I have been in city management for 11 years now. I was in a previous life a pastor for 10 years, which is very similar to city management. You deal with a lot of volunteer boards. You answer to other people other than yourself. And there are a lot of expectations and goals that you have to meet and meet the needs of the community that you serve. I have enjoyed being an assistant city manager. I have been city manager. I worked, when I was the assistant, I was also director of economic development. And I've overseen DDAs. I've been part of DDAs, been involved in DPW with road projects, water projects, and planning and zoning, writing ordinances, all kinds of things, as you notice in my resume. And I'm just excited to be here. I'm a mom of 4 by natural birth, 1 additional daughter that lives in Norway who was an exchange student for us. And I have another 70-pound baby that is about this tall, and his name is Maka. He's a standard poodle, and he's my shadow, and he was very sad when I left the house today. So, but that is me. I'm also a grandmother. Enjoy my little 3-year-old very much, and again, just appreciate the opportunity to be here, so thank you.
Sue, thank you so much. Very helpful. And with that, we're going to kick off to our first question. And Amy, I'll pass the floor to you.
The first question is an opening statement about yourself, and what do you know about Gibraltar?
I know that Gibraltar was not, I kind of went over the opening statement about myself. I know that Gibraltar was not originally named Gibraltar. Kind of read through some of the Wikipedia stuff there, trying to get more information on that. Don't ask me what the name was before that. I know it was in French, but I can't pronounce it, so. You guys have a lot of projects that are going on here in your community. You're a bedroom community that many people drive out to work elsewhere. I would assume just by looking at the types of homes that you have here, many people have lived here for a long time. You probably have a lot of either near retirement or retirement age folks that are here, and you're hoping to be able to bring younger generations to come in and sustain them here as well. Your school systems are wonderful. I know that you outsource your water and sewer, but you have in-house your fire and police and DPW that are here. And as in all small communities, everybody wears multiple hats. I have read through your audits and have seen things that are normal in many audits that you get dinged on, that you just don't have enough bodies to do the delegation part of it. And part of that is in your policies of having somebody doing the work and somebody else reviewing it, very simple fixes to be able to do. So it's really not an issue, it's just something that your auditors catch and want you to be aware of. Your road projects, you have, I was noticing your board back here, major projects that you have going on with water and road. You also have PFAS that are here in your community, and an old, I'm still trying to remember, I think it's an inactive landfill that is here that you guys also are charged with the cleanup or the maintaining or the investigation, all of that into what is going on here. So that's kind of some of the information that I have gleaned so far about your community, and look forward to being a part of that if chosen.
Thank you, Sue. Council, any clarifying questions before we turn it over to Councilman McNabb? Councilman McNabb, floor is yours for number 2.
My question is, communication is key. How are you with asking for help and instruction if you are not comfortable with a task?
Everybody that I have ever worked with, whether in this line of work or in previous jobs that I have had, always start to greet me with, and what question do you have for me today? I'm not afraid to ask questions. It's how you learn. And I'm also not afraid to say, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it, but let me investigate. Let me check with other people. We'll find the way to get it done. So I'm very comfortable with that. Communication is essential. You can't just say you know how to do everything, because you don't. There are lots of people who know how to do lots of things, but there isn't anybody that knows how to do everything. And it's important to be upfront about that. So I rely heavily upon my team. I rely upon my peers and being able to reach out to colleagues of mine for help determining things. I like to talk with council as well and figure out what is it that you like to have done in the community? What are your goals? Let's communicate about that and make sure that we're open, as well as making sure that the type of communication I do is the communication you need to have done. I like to keep council very informed. I send out a weekly update for council, not only from myself, but also from departments. And I also, if there is something that comes up during the week that may be an anomaly or something that is just, either exciting or concerning, I like to share that immediately with council. Just send a note out to all of you and say, hey, this happened today, or this concern is coming up, or in one community that I was in, there was a contractor that was working, doing sidewalk repair, and he cut through a gas line in the community. It could have been fatal for him. I don't know how luckily he was not injured in it, but we had a ton of gas that was put into the air. And it was about 45 minutes before our kids were supposed to be dismissed from the schools. So immediately I send out an email to all of council, and then I get on the phone with the school superintendent and let them know, hey, we have this issue going on. I know that you have kids that walk home through the area. You have a daycare that is near there. These things need to be attended to. So it was something that we needed to make sure the communication got out there. So I think communication is very important.
Thank you so much, Sue. Council, any clarifying questions for number 2? Councilman Molnar, question number 3.
Thank you. When you are faced with limited resources, financial and otherwise, how as a manager do you set priorities for the use of the limited resources that you have?
That's a hard one, I think, all the way across the board. You can only make money stretch so far. So you have to look at what the priorities, the absolute must-do items are to complete that. As far as projects go, you always want to try to match that with whatever kind of grant dollars, state help, other types of funding that you can get, maybe through community foundations, whatever they may be. Even sometimes it requires real deep discussions on, is this something that we need to be in debt for and fund through a bond or something of that nature. At the end of the day, you still need to have dollars to be able to pay whatever those bills are. So I think, again, coming down to, here's all the wants that we have, and out of that, what can we pare down to these are the absolute needs. I know that you're a small organization, so as I said a little bit ago, everybody wears lots of hats here in the organization. It may be something that maybe shifting of duties a little bit, or restructuring of segments of what somebody is responsible for, training up people to step into roles that would be useful for the community long-term. It's not just a short-term fix. I think that that's important to do that. And again, at the end of the day, you need to have a balanced budget. You need to stay within those budget guidelines. And if you can't make those budget dollars stretch further, then you have to start saying, what do we need to cut? What can we push off until next year? Can we seek grants to be able to make that happen? So I think lots of managers have had experience doing that. It's just a tough thing that we're all forced and faced with to be able to make the dollars work in the communities that you're in.
Thank you, Sue. Council, any clarifying questions for number 3?
No, thank you for the response.
Question number 4, as a potential administrator, do you view your role in local government in comparison to the role of the elected officials?
I'm the liaison from council to the community with staff. I am the person that assists you as council to meet the goals that you have for the community. And then it's my responsibility to handle the day-to-day operations to make sure that those goals get accomplished. I'm also a big team player. I do not believe that I do anything, everybody here can do their job without me, but I can't do my job without them. I rely upon my team heavily. I don't like to look at staff as employees, although they're my team members, and I'm a team member, and I'm in there shoulder to shoulder with them, working to get things done. I don't like to be the boss unless I have to be the boss. I'd rather be a team member, cheerleading the team on and helping to do the heavy lifts as needed. So that's kind of my role that I see. I see council as setting policy, setting goals for the organization, and then as the manager or administrator, it's my job to make sure those things get implemented.
Thank you so much, Sue. Council, any clarifying questions on number 4? Councilwoman Wood, question number 5 is yours.
Okay. In your role as administrator, who do you feel is the most important group, individuals or organization you interact with?
Yes. I think
All of the above,
all
is
of
that
the
what you're
above.
saying?
Yes, I'm hard pressed to say one is more important than the other. You need a good, strong team to do the work, but you also need to have an understanding of what it is that the community wants, expects, and needs to have done. So there's always that balance that needs to take place between the two. If you're just here over the organization and that's your only focus, you're missing out on what the community needs. You could have great plans, great goals, great objectives to obtain, and it could be completely out of line with what your community needs. Not that they're not good things to be doing, but your community will be unhappy with you, and it's not fun to be tarred and feathered ever. So I would rather be in touch with the community, making sure that we hear them, that we encourage the public participation, that we are listening to what they need to have done. So I still believe, yes, both of them are very, very important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Council, any clarifying comments or questions on question number 5? Councilman Cox.
In your professional career, what do you find to have been the most rewarding aspects of your current or previous jobs? And what's the most rewarding aspects of the position you are applying for?
Of the current, of my previous positions, I think making a difference every day in the lives of the community, the people in the community that you serve, building relationships with people. I'm very relationally oriented. I talk to people, I chatter all the time. My kids are embarrassed to be out in public with me because I talk to anybody and everybody if I know you or I don't know you. So this part of the job, you get to connect with people. You get to hear issues that they're going through, problems that they may have. I have water that backed up in my house because of road work you did up yonder, and what are you going to do to help me? Well, we look to see if there is anything that we can do, but if there's not something the city can do financially, I'm there listening, I'm there supporting, I'm there looking for other alternative things that they can do to find answers. Those relationships are so important and so vital. I'm also somebody that in my previous places that I have worked at, I want my team to know that they are valued, that they are an integral part of the organization, and that without them, this work just cannot be done. They're the backbone. So I'm always there supporting and encouraging them. And I think for this position, currently, I would bring a lot of that into this. I'm excited if offered the position to be able to come in and learn what it is that you need to have done in the short time. I would focus on things of the budget. I would focus on whatever projects you have going on right now to make sure everything stays up to task. But I think that those would be highlights of this tenure, to be here with you. And to make sure that your next administrator that you have is an absolute great fit for you and will continue on in the future for you.
Thank you, Sue. Any questions or clarifying comments? Chief Tangway, I'm going to come back to you since we're going to be deferring to you in your own personalized question. Katie, if I may I go to you for number 7?
Do you have any experience with millage requests? And if so, what do you feel are the most important aspects of a successful millage request campaign?
And Sue, sorry to interrupt you. Just for those that are on virtual, since the question wasn't on the mic, do you have any experience with millage requests? If so, what do you feel are the most important aspects of a successful millage request campaign for those that are on virtual? Sue, the floor is yours.
We have, previously, I have been in communities where we have had to go out for a millage request or a bond request. I remember the first time we went for a $10 million bond request in Owasso, and it included roads and sidewalks and trails. It failed miserably. So what I learned from that, and that was during my internship when I was in Owasso before I was hired there, we went back out for that a year later, and it was successful. We passed it. We had to listen to the community. At that time, this was 11 years ago, trails in Owasso were not an important item. They wanted their roads fixed and they wanted their sidewalks fixed. That was something everybody in the community used every day. Trails were just a plus for them. Mindset has changed a lot on trails going forward, but one of the things that was very important for us was to make sure that we get that information out there, that we get to the grassroots level of it to be able to spread that information out there. People have a tendency, if they don't have the information in front of me, they create their own narrative on it. So we would rather make sure that all the facts are out there. We can't say, you need to vote for this because this will help you, but we can say, the millage request will do X, Y, and Z and provide you with the opportunities of A, B, and C. And this will be the cost that it is per dollar per every tax that you pay, or every tax dollar that you pay. So it's important to have that communication out there. That goes back to that communication part of it. If you don't get into the grassroots part of it, it's just not a successful campaign. You're lucky if it goes through unless people really want to see something happen. Educating your community on what those needs are. The hard thing with water and sewer lines, nobody sees those on a day-to-day basis, but man, are they important in your community. Nobody likes when they turn on the faucet and you get drippy, 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 or no drippy at all, or it's discolored and it smells awful. People hate even more when you try to flush the toilet and it doesn't go anywhere, or your bathtub doesn't drain, or it drains in your basement, those types of things. So educating people why we need to, have this millage increase. This provides you with this service. And, if we look historically at what the city has been able to provide, if we don't find some kind of mechanism to fund this, we're going to have to make cuts in areas. That puts that need, that onus out to the community so that they're aware of that. So those are experiences that I've had in the past of the good, the bad, and the ugly of millage requests. And again, it comes down to making sure that you get all that communication out there.
Thank you so much, Sue. Council, any clarifying questions, department heads?
I do have one question based on this. Now, in your past experiences, do you find it better to go for a bonding issue or a millage request within communities?
It depends on what it's for. people love fire departments, people love fire departments, you know, to be able, because you provide those services, man, you've got to be there lickety-split when somebody's house is on fire. If, you know, an emergency happens, there's a car crash, whatever. People tend to support that if you say, we want to shift some of our general fund money and explain what that is in your budget so that we can have money for more operational expenses. And by doing that, we're going to ask you to approve or consider approving this amount of a millage request. It would be in addition to the millage that you currently pay, but these are the services that this covers. If you, that's more successful in that venue. If you say, we're struggling to make our bills to pay for the services that we have, therefore we want to, let's say Headley has you capped, you know, at this amount, but you can move up slightly in that. You really don't have to go out to the voters as long as you stay under that, but if you want to go above that Headley cap and ask for a Headley override, then you really have to educate your community on why this is sustainable. It's not something that is just a one-time thing. Usually in your police department or fire department millages that you do, it's for a 5-year term, 10-year term, whatever that may be. It could be for 2 years. It just helps to offset some of those dollars to be able to fund those departments. But if you're having consistent operating deficiencies in your funding, that really needs to be explained out to your community so that they understand, and you really need to list it out to them. These are the things that we provide to you right now. Are these still priorities to you? You know, and it really helps them to understand the need that is there. Otherwise, again, they make up their own narrative on those things, and I've always found that the more that you educate your community, the more successful it is. So again, it depends on the type of millage that you're going out for in the type of success. Some things, like for streets, I would rather bond for that than do millage requests. Or if you have water and sewer projects, bond through your water and sewer funds that you can utilize that as long as you're able to pay that back down and you have that capital to be able to do that. So I hope I answered that okay.
Any other clarifying questions? Treasurer Arp, would you mind if I turn it over to you for question number 8?
Do you want me to ask, or do you want to read it from the mic?
Do you mind if you read it from the mic?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Our number 8 question is, the manager could potentially serve as the DPW director, to the DDA director, on the pension board, the HR director, the benefit coordinator, interfaces with our planning commission, as well as performs a variety of other roles. How would you address the need for such a diverse knowledge base to be efficient and effective in all these roles?
Okay. I have done a multitude of those items that were listed. I have been very involved in DPW. I have never been a DPW director. That's something that, you know, I would really like to look at the people that you have working in that department to see if that's something that training and bringing that person up, you know, choosing someone there if there's interest, to maybe make them a DPW supervisor so that they oversee the day-to-day things. Today we go mow the grass. Tomorrow we've got to work on lead lines, you know, whatever that may be. I really like the idea of still being involved, and I've done that everywhere that I've been at to make sure that we're on track to get this many lead lines replaced this week. And I've never been in the trenches with the guys to replace a pipe. And I don't have a CDL, I don't operate heavy equipment. So other than just being able to oversee and direct a little bit, that would be the extent of my knowledge there. I don't have a water license. I have a son who has water licenses, son-in-law, but I do not have that myself. DDA and planning, I have done those in and out. HR, I have done many of those things except for the benefit coordination. but it's something that I'm sure I can learn, if that's something that you need. Again, it may be something, once you're inside looking at the structure here to see if that's something that can be taken on by someone else in here, because those are a lot of hats to wear for one person. It stretches you very thin to be able to do your job as an administrator. So I would encourage that some of those be shifted within, or maybe even consider hiring a part-time person if that is feasible to be able to help with some of that. But that's something you guys would have to determine in the future.
Thank you so much, Sue. Council Department Heads, any clarifying questions for Treasurer Arb's comment?
I have one, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. The question was phrased to you in the form of the manager, and the job is a city administrator. And your resume says pretty much every job you've had has been city manager. What do you perceive the difference to be between a city manager and a city administrator?
The title, the name, it's all the same, no matter where you're at. One of the things I like to make sure I do, whatever community I'm in, is read the charter to know what the language is of the role of the administrator or the manager, wherever that is, to make sure that that's in line with the expectations. I'm not sure you guys have the language in your charter for a city administrator. But I do notice that you have in your ordinances what the role of the city manager is. So that's kind of what I go in, but they're synonymous. They go back and forth. It's the same role.
Okay, thank you.
For any other clarifying questions or comments, Council?
She just answered one.
I'll go to Councilperson Molnar for your question, and then Chief Tangway, I'm going to turn it over to you.
This one's a little long and wordy, but
Okay.
try and stay with me. In this position, you may be dealing with with multiple outsourced city departments. So our assessor is outsourced, our building department is outsourced, although they are in-house, their personnel are in-house a couple of days a week. Our engineering is outsourced, our legal is outsourced, and our planning is outsourced. But in the eyes of a citizen, they are all simply the city. So what is your approach to the citizen and also to the vendors performing their scope of work to ensure that the request is getting properly addressed and communication stays up to date with the citizen and between the multiple vendors?
Yep, I have been in communities where we have had our building official and our trades that were all outsourced. In the last place that I was at, actually, our DPW was outsourced, as well as our water and sewer. Those were outsourced. We were through, I can't think of either one of them now. The Water Resource Commission, the Oakland County Water Resource Commission was our sewer person or people that handled that. And then it's not GLEWA, it is... it's another thing. It's several, multiple communities that are together that purchase water through them. I think the biggest thing is you need to have points of contact for your community for each of those, unless, like in our recycling program that we had in our garbage pickup, that was outsourced as well. So if we had people that my trash was not picked up, or I have branches that need to be picked up that were overlooked, we would take those calls and we would also make sure that it was okay to give out the phone number of that person that was the immediate contact to be able to do that. I always stress with whatever vendor I work with, our citizens are our top priority. So we need to make sure that whatever concerns that they have are being addressed. And if they're not being addressed, then you get to deal with me. And Happy Sue is a good thing. Not Happy Sue is not fun. So I would rather work through those issues and make sure that the understanding up front is we need to meet the needs that the community has. there are strange things that happen, throughout the year. I know in February of last year, in the community that I was in, we had ice storms that knocked power out for 2 weeks. We had branches down everywhere. And between our outsourced DPW guys and the company that was through our recycling and waste pickup, we hired an additional group to come in to pick up branches because we were just so overwhelmed with branches there. And people were chopping down other things and hauling them out to the road. It wasn't necessarily stuff that had come down in the ice storm, but I said, take it all. They're going to complain if we don't. I don't want to get into that issue. We don't want to make this a standard thing that we do every time, but let's make sure that we are meeting the needs that we can in communicating with citizens. I also like to get their ideas on things we can improve in our day-to-day or in our system. How are we doing this? Is it something that you look at and you think can be tweaked a bit? Our fees that we charge for things that we do, whether it's tap-ins, building fees, whatever those may be, are we in comparison with other communities? Is that something that we need to bump up? It's just that communication to have back and forth with your vendors. That way, not only are you in touch with your citizens and having those conversations to make sure that your vendors know the importance of meeting the needs of your citizens, but you're also in touch with what the vendors need and making sure that all that communication back and forth is really well-intended and good relationships are maintained. So I hope that answered.
Yeah, most of the, one of the things that, that I think is a important point is if a citizen reaches out through the building department, but there's overlaps between the planning and engineering, how do we keep the communication flowing and it doesn't die on somebody's desk in between multiple vendors?
If there's not already a flow chart in process, I would make sure that there's one established for that. And then every person signs off when they're done. Even if it's, something that is going to take a week to complete, and you end up taking 10 days, calling that person in the middle of the week saying, hey, this is going to take a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I just wanted to keep you aware of where we're at with this. Or if you have information that is missing, we need to get this from you before we can proceed. Please make sure you get this to me by this time on this date for us to be able to move forward for the next meeting. It's that communication, making sure that that stays in place. And I know that there's software out there, but you have to be in a place where you can afford that kind of stuff as well, but where those things get checked off, and it doesn't move to the next step until that person signs off on it.
Okay.
But if you have that, making sure that it's come in and it's tracked, that should be part, if it's building, that should be part of whoever takes that permit in to begin with here, to make sure that nothing is getting caught in the cracks. So,
Thank you. Yeah, you answered it. Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Council, any other clarifying questions? Chief Tangway?
Sue, thanks for being here. I've got the last of the written questions, so that's the good news unless they add any more after me. So we can all see that you took the time to prepare for the interview, and we appreciate it. Is there anything that you prepared for that you would have liked us to ask that we did not ask?
I think you've asked a wide variety of things. Obviously, if we're on the interim list, we have experience in all kinds of things that we're doing. I think making sure that your candidate, if they're not local, asking them, how are you going to handle the position here in the interim if you're 2 hours away? That's a good question, because you don't want me, tell a what is it called, virtual machine, being virtual to you guys all the time, yes, that can work, but being here in person is much better. So, and my intention would be to find a temporary place here, so that I'm here during the week, because that's what you need. You need somebody here to be able to handle everything that's going on. And you have a lot of things to keep up with. You also have your budget to be on top of. You have all of whatever your requirements are for your projects that are going on, making sure that those steps don't get slowed down in the process. So, and then your immediacy of if you're hired the position or offered the position, how soon are you able to start?
That would, I'll follow up to both of those.
Okay.
Given your geographic distance from the city of Gibraltar, let's start with that question, which is, are you available and interested, if council so chooses, to put you in that role to make that trip to be here in person?
I am, definitely. I'm available, as I say, I could be here tomorrow morning for you. But I know their background and those types of things that you'd want to do on me. So as soon as those are done, I would be here, and I would find a place to rent during the week and go home on the weekends. So that
You can
would be
bring your
something.
dog with you.
You know, in my last place that I actually brought my dog to work with me, and people, it just makes such a difference when you have a tense situation, somebody coming to the counter, my bill is, oh, that's a dog. Oh, what kind of dog is that, you know?
Works here.
I think everybody loves dogs. There was only one lady that did not like my dog, and she didn't like any dogs, but there's still people, I have friends that work there that will call me and tell me, nobody asks about you anymore, but they always ask about Maka, so.
Yeah,
that's
we
my
had a
dog.
problem with our mayor like that.
Precisely. Thank you for the clarity, which is you're willing and available to, if I heard correctly, if council so chose, to start as soon as
Yeah, as
possible
soon
and
as,
to
yep.
make the trip. Council, just as a background of information, I know I led with this, but the figure I shared with you would be our upper threshold. So that would have to be inclusive of any sort of support if council so chose on stay. My last question for you, unless council, any other questions on, last question for you is just for this transparency of our council and for the public. Do you have any personal or professional relationship with anybody in this room or in the city of Gibraltar that we should be aware of?
I do not.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then before I turn it over to council for any other questions, just for those residents that are tuning in virtually, I know, Sue, you described your experience very thoroughly. Obviously, we're sitting here with your resume. Residents, the resumes can be found online at the MME website. So it's Susan on the resume, but Sue would, her resume and her information, but her most recent work experience is city manager for City of Lathrop Village. Prior to that, city manager for City of Eaton Rapids. Prior to that, city manager for City of Leslie. So just want to share that for those public members that don't have the same information sitting in front of them. Council, any other final questions for Sue this evening?
I've got a
Please.
couple, and just throw something at me if I'm out of order. But are the work at Lathrop Village and Eaton Rapids, were those both on interim basis?
They were not. I was hired, and I'll go to Eaton Rapids first. I was hired under one council in December, and a new council took seat in January, and they had different goals than what I was hired in under, and I was let go 97 days later without cause. So that was a surprise for sure. In Lathrop Village, it was a very difficult appointment to be in. There's a lot of stress. This job has a lot of stress normally as it is, but the amount of stress was enormous. I've never had high blood pressure ever in my life. Even through my 4 pregnancies, my blood pressure runs like 110/60. And my blood pressure was 150/100, and I was having a ton of heart issues. So I thought, there's no place I'm willing to die for. So I left for my own health. That was my choice, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have a duration expectation or desire?
No, as long as it takes you guys to have somebody in place. If you need me to stay a little longer to bring them up to speed on things, maybe a couple of weeks after their hire, I'm very happy to do that. So
Okay.
whatever you guys determine that you would like.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And Mr. Mayor, before I ask this question to you, I want to ask this question to you is, should we ask if there is a wage request at this point or stage, or should we ask if she prefers an offer from us? I don't know how you want to handle that portion of it.
Since that was not previously discussed amongst council, is council collectively or department heads, is there any objection to inquiring about wages at this point in time? Treasurer Harp?
I have a little bit of, just for negotiating purposes, that I would prefer that we keep that private or in a closed session, but I have no problem if we want to discuss or debate it.
Should we request a closed session at the end of this meeting? Is that,
I think that would be prudent for council.
thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Treasurer Harp. Any other thoughts on that? Okay. Will there be a motion order for a closed discussion after this?
Yes, sir.
Council so chooses. Any other questions or comments for Sue? Sue, any other questions or comments that we can help clarify for you today?
No, I think you guys have done a great job. Your questions were really good. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you so much.
And please feel free to reach out with me or to me with any other questions you might have that maybe you didn't ask tonight or that you may come up with. I'm more than happy to answer them.
We really, really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Before we go into public comment and then a potential adjournment, if council so chose to have that closed discussion following public comment, I would say that motion would need to be made by council. Do you have any issue with that?
Closed session with regard to that?
Closed session with regards to finances specifically?
With regard to an offer, no.
No objections? Okay, so motion would be in council's court if they so chose for a closed discussion around compensation considerations.
I would make that motion.
Katie, we have a motion on the floor for closed discussion surrounding compensation considerations. Is there a second?
There's certain reasons to have a closed session, so I'm just making sure that's one.
I would say let's make that twofold, or up to council. One would be the compensation, two would be the evaluation of a candidate as it relates to this.
Seems inclusive of one of the causes.
Yep.
For closed session permission.
So if there's a amendment to that motion, I think that would be more appropriate.
Yeah, that we can amend that motion for evaluation and compensation
Right.
discussion.
There's a motion. on the-
Second.
Okay, so Katie, we have a motion. Do you have that captured correctly? And you have a second from Councilman Cox. Any discussion? Katie, can you call roll, please?
McNabb,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Schumate,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll enter our closed discussion following public comment. With that, I'd like to turn over to our public. Any public comment this evening? Okay, that'll close the public comment. Katie, maybe you can just make sure procedurally we're appropriate here. Does adjournment take place before or after that closed discussion? After? Great. So to our members in the room, we're going to enter a closed session surrounding the motion. And then we will motion to adjourn following that closed discussion. So if we could ask the members of public to leave council to have that discussion in a closed capacity. And Katie, we can make sure we address the AV appropriately. Sue, thank you so much again for the discussion and
Would we want?
yeah. Sue, if you don't mind, would you be willing and able to perhaps take a seat outside if you're able to stay? Thank you so much. There's a conference room to your left, Sue, and we can just close this door here if you'd like.
There's a beautification meeting starting at 6.
Okay. Council, can I have you turn your mics off?